I'm already defeated, so my expectations are as low as possible. And last time
been defeated since 8, so okay.
last time my expectations were this low, Solo, and I fucking love that movie. So we'll see what happens. But this is good. I like that we have this on tape because we'll definitely put this like before the spoiler
Star
cast.
Wars one tomorrow.
Yeah, exactly. So this is us just talking about it before we watch, and in a few seconds,
get a little warm up for y'all.
In a few seconds, you'll see us. We'll fade back in, and we'll be wearing different clothes, and it'll be brighter in here because it'll be early in the morning, and we'll be talking about Star Wars. So we'll see you on the other side.
Indeed.
Oh my gosh, I'm horrified, man.
We'll see what happens.
Star Wars. You don't want to do a chant with me?
Too much work.
Welcome to the Nerd Enthusiast Spoilercast, where we spoil the latest in movies, video games, something that me and Matt have both watched and or played.
Both endeavored in.
Yeah, both endeavored in. I like that. That's a good one.
You gotta have spectacular vernacular.
When did you start using endeavoring?
I don't know. Just right now.
Matt and I just watched last night
Star Wars
Episode 9, The Rise of Skywalker. We watched it last night. It's bright and early this morning. Matt's got coffee.
I have coffee.
Not beer. We have a different energy right now, I feel like.
Yeah, we do.
I feel like we've got more chutzpah to us.
I don't know what that means, but we have more energy.
You think you're the only one with cool words?
Not so. Kind of corny.
It's Yiddish. Now, we watched this episode last night.
Jewish?
Yeah, I could dabble.
You didn't use their words, man.
Hey, I thought about converting, so we're getting way off topic right now. The Rise of Skywalker, we just watched it. We've done a whole B-sides arc of us going through every Star Wars film leading up to this moment of Episode 9 coming out, the culmination of the Skywalker saga. We haven't talked about it at all with each other.
Like, if you don't mind, I'd like to start this conversation
by
asking you a question.
By all means.
This is just a basic question. I like to ask this in the beginning before we get into like our thoughts and feelings.
Yeah.
Why would someone possibly enjoy seeing this film? Whether it's somebody who saw them or not, like why would somebody want to go see this film?
It's the end of this saga. Like I think if you're a fan of Star Wars and you've been committed this long, and it's something that you love and care about, I think you have to see the end of it. I think it's extremely, I don't know if it's extremely important. I think if you're, the type of fan who just likes 4, 5, and 6, and that's all you want to watch, then yeah, that's fine. That's what you can have. You can have those movies. You can have those and the prequel trilogies. But if you took that step with everybody else to watch The Force Awakens, and you took that other step to see The Last Jedi, I think you have to see this trilogy off for better or worse.
I think if you haven't seen any of the other films, don't go see it.
No, this isn't for you.
It's not going to make any sense.
No, it's not for you.
But if you had to have at least seen 7, 8, and then 9 will be okay.
Yeah.
But ultimately, I think you need to see like 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
I think you need to see this whole trilogy. Or this whole saga.
They don't reference 1, 2, or 3 too much. There's very, very little things, if anything, about those.
Not directly, but I think there's enough in here that like it paints a whole picture. And we'll get into that. If you've seen
4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, you're going to get pretty much everything that's happening.
Yeah, absolutely. But I think you don't get the full like scope of what this. Also, like spoiler cast, we're gonna be spoiling this movie nonstop.
Yeah,
like,
so turn this off if you don't want to hear.
You don't want spoilers. You just want spoiler-free impressions. This is not the place to get it. But I think
maybe we can start out with spoiler-free impressions.
Okay, I like that idea.
And then
before we jump into it,
flip it
okay, that's a good idea.
You can actually split this up into 2 segments.
Yeah,
if you want.
And I'll have
just
like
put timestamps.
Timestamps, non-spoiler discussion, spoiler discussion, so we can hold off on spoilers for the time being.
If you haven't noticed, this is not structured at all. We're just kind of doing this on the fly this time, so there's no like order really.
There's no there's no doc aside from our like loose thoughts that we posted in our own private documents. Like we didn't do a run a show today. We were just jumping in and going for it. So yeah, if we're doing like loose impressions, to finish that thought about like, seeing 1, 2, and 3, I think you don't necessarily need them, but I think there's a whole arc that's being painted for you, a whole like poetic tapestry, and to have 1, 2, and 3, even though they're not always directly like referenced, there's still like a through line that exists.
Okay, I
a
can
poetic
see that.
through line. The question I would want to ask you before we like get into anything, any specifics, did you like this movie, Matt?
I have to preface this with saying one thing first. I wanted to say this. I actually wrote this down so I didn't forget to say it. I tried really hard to watch this film with a critical eye, and I feel like I failed. It sounds funny. But I was smiling like this whole fucking movie.
Really?
This was a great movie. It's not a perfect movie.
Yeah.
I really, really dug this movie quite a bit.
Matt.
And yesterday we had a conversation. Richard told me it was like 55 on Rotten Tomatoes. I seen other people's impressions, posting top 10s of their movies of the year, and that have seen this movie, and it wasn't even on there. I think they're all wrong.
Can I tell you a quote? I think it was from Forbes, I believe. J.J. Abrams should be impeached from Star Wars is one of the quotes I saw online.
I read a couple different articles, just like I was trying to get like a synopsis of the story again, just to like refresh my memory
before going into this.
Things.
Yeah.
Before we started recording,
we did sleep. Have a night's rest.
Right. So every synopsis that I was reading was just like shitting on the movie. I'm like, what? Did we watch the same movie? And like, I mean, I could agree with some of their points that they were making, which I'm not even going to get into here. I don't think they're relevant. And again, I tried to watch this with a critical eye, but I was just enjoying the film from like the entire time. Every part of the film was great to me.
Really? Now I'm surprised to hear this. This is awesome.
There were some issues I had, but they were so minor. This is the best way I can describe it. It was like a really good fucking roller coaster. Everything happens super fast.
Dude, the pacing of this movie is insane.
Yeah, it goes very fast, but I enjoyed the entire ride.
Yeah.
Like a great roller coaster.
You're right. I was smiling the whole time watching this movie as well. Like I just felt right. Whereas like I remember watching Last Jedi, like there was a sense of discomfort throughout that whole film. Like right off the bat, I was like, okay, these people are interacting. The way they're interacting just feels right. It feels like Star Wars. And it felt like Star Wars the whole way through up to that very, final end point of that film. Like the whole way through, it felt like Star Wars, and then it ends and it's like, okay, cool. Like that. I got a story. I got a story that I was hoping to see in a Star Wars universe. And that was nice.
And it ended well too, which we'll get to. But yeah, I think if you're worried about, the reviews and shit, the critics' reviews, at least I've seen like people's impressions, and it seems like the critics are on one side and the people are on another side.
It's exactly the inverse of what happened with The Last Jedi, where like the critics loved it and the fans fucking hated it, and now it looks like it's going the opposite way. Another sentiment I'm seeing a lot online is now that we're done, I'm just glad to be done with the trilogy, which I see, or done with the Skywalker story, and like I'm excited to see what else Star Wars can go into. And I think I agree with that sentiment as well. Like to a degree, it feels good to finish this trilogy and this saga and be like, to have that sense of completion. Because I feel like everybody's story ends in this film. Like everybody's, I won't get into like spoilers specifically, but I feel like everything I don't have any questions. I walked out of this movie saying, I have everything I need to know. And
there's a few open questions.
Yeah.
But like I've said this before. I don't want answers to every goddamn question. I don't need you giving me an answer to everything. I like that there's like a mysticism in things. I like when that happens. So yeah, in my opinion, there are some unanswered questions, but I'm totally fine with that.
Yeah, I'm curious to hear what your unanswered questions are.
One glaring one.
Okay, for sure. It's... All right, here's something else we can talk about that doesn't go too much into spoilers. This movie, do you think this movie feels like a course correction from The Last Jedi?
I actually have a whole segment about The Last Jedi.
Oh, in your notes?
Yeah, I do. Let me read what I wrote because I don't even remember.
Yeah, maybe
this was a while ago.
See if there's any like spoilers within there. Because for me...
Okay, there are some spoilers that I wrote down in there.
I don't know, do you want to just jump into spoilers and just, take the chains off?
I think so. I mean, we just need to give our first impression. Yeah, we can make that a shortcut out. So,
okay.
All right.
I love it.
We're going into spoilers.
So we're unshackling spoilers, and now we'll just talk about whatever comes to mind.
Right. So we're going to keep it natural, though. We're going to go right into, like, he brought up The Last Jedi, and I had specific notes on this.
Yeah.
I think that mostly it ignores The Last Jedi. Some of the things that I've read, like I said, I was going through the synopsis and stuff, and some people were saying like, "Oh, it completely ignores The Last Jedi." You're wrong. It doesn't.
Yeah.
It mostly ignors The Last Jedi.
It mentions things. It says like the Holdo maneuver. It like you know like we're gonna have to use a lot of Holdo maneuvers or whatever. And he's like, "Come on, that's 1 in a million," which I think is like it's funny to see JJ like make up for Ryan's like lack of realization of how much it fucked over the universe.
That was a big problem.
JJ's
that was like one of my biggest problems with that movie.
That the Holdo maneuver.
Right.
Yeah, and like JJ's like, it's 1 in a million. That's why it worked. Like him trying to like patch things together, it felt like. So like, yeah, he's not ignoring it, but he also isn't like holding it as like, you know, this is great. Let's keep, you know, running with this torch that Ryan gave us, because it's very clearly not. There's so many moments like that where you know, JJ is undoing what Ryan put forward. Things that we knew right off the bat before going into this movie. Kylo Ren's helmet is repaired. Anakin Skywalker's lightsaber is repaired. We saw both of these things in the trailer. When friggin' Rey tries to throw away the lightsaber, when she like, you know, feels that she's failed and she like tries to hermit herself on Luke's island like Luke did, and she throws her lightsaber, Force Ghost Luke catches it and is like, that's no way to treat a weapon of a Jedi, after in the very previous movie he was throwing it over his back. Like, it clearly, and that's probably my only issue with this movie, and it was an unavoidable issue considering what The Last Jedi did. This trilogy does feel a bit like a pissing match between these two directors for me. Like, and that's going to be, and it's not the worst thing ever, because I think ultimately JJ told the story he wanted to tell between his two movies, but there is a lopsidedness to the trilogy, and it does feel like episode 9 is so packed because it had to be.
Yeah, it felt like he could have made a whole nother movie if he had the time and the budget, and they were like, go ahead, make a fourth one just to finish this out.
It was two movies. It was two movies thrown together as one. And I enjoyed it.
The pacing would have probably turned out a bit better if he had two movies.
Yeah, exactly. But that said, who knows? Like, maybe watching this movie like over and over again is gonna be great, because it's like, oh fuck yeah, we're just like, its pacing is gonna be so fast always.
I'm excited to go back and rewatch it and see if my thoughts are still the same, because like I said, I've really struggled to look at it with a critical eye. One of the things though with the you know, it being tied to The Last Jedi was the one thing I felt that The Last Jedi did well was build this relationship between Kylo Ren and Rey.
Yeah.
And that is one thing that led directly into this film.
Yep, that's true. So that's completely intact.
I don't know how nobody talked. Like, I mean, not nobody. The reviewers just were shitting on the movie so much. I was like, how? What do you mean they took nothing from it?
Yeah,
they built such a relationship between them in The Last Jedi, and that continues on in this film. So that's one thing that made me actually appreciate The Last Jedi a little bit more.
Yep, that's cool.
I don't think. What do you think? Do you think The Last Jedi is a better movie after seeing this now? I'm not saying it's a great movie or a good movie or anything like that. I'm just saying, do you think it's a better movie after seeing this?
I think it's less egregious, I guess, but it still bums me out that the trilogy is lopsided. I guess, like, it bums me out that you know, I'm gonna go back and watch that movie, I assume, when I go back to watch episode 8. What's going to stand out to me in that film are the moments between Kylo and Rey. Like, those are going to be the best moments for me. And everything else is going to be like, okay, let's move. Like, Canto Bite's going to be just like, let's move it all along.
Luke being kind of a whiny ass is going to be weird, because he wasn't a whiny ass in 9.
In this one, yeah, exactly. So that, like, I'm interested to, like, watch, you know, go back and watch 8 and see if it flows into 9, and, like, the way Luke acts in 9. Because it is weird for him.
Probably be a bit jarring to see him in both films back to back.
Yeah, I would think so. Because he does feel a bit different. But I guess they try and justify it. He has this moment with Yoda. He has Rey come in and shake him out of his funk or whatever. Whether that funk will like feel like it makes sense, I don't know. But with the Skywalkers, gosh, I don't know if we want to jump into this. Do you have anything else you want to say in relation to like Last Jedi? Well, it's going to get into
Skywalker, so it seems like it's naturally going that way anyways. The other thing, I mean, there's probably more if I sat there and thought about it for a longer period of time.
Yeah.
But the other theme that they took from The Last Jedi was whether you want it to be this way or not, they talked about how Rey was nobody. She came from nothing.
Yeah, there's another thing that like
we find out she does come from something. There is a story behind that. And a lot of people are like, well, it's just fucking thrown here. Maybe that was the plan from the beginning. Maybe that was Rian Johnson's plan. So my point to those people giving it shit is, how the fuck do you know?
Yeah, for sure.
Where that idea came from, anyways?
Whose idea it was?
Right. Maybe they were hiding it from the beginning and making it seem that way to try to surprise you when you find out where she's from.
Yeah.
Maybe not. But I'm just saying, like,
I gotta say, the fact that like that the reveal that she is a Palpatine is right in the middle of the movie is very telling to me, and tells me like that's supposed to be at the end of the second movie in JJ's universe.
Probably.
In JJ's mind. Another thing that we got to see in this movie that I think was really lacking in The Last Jedi was character cohesion, characters interacting with each other.
Yeah, there wasn't a lot of character development
in aside from Kylo and Rey's characters,
right? Exactly,
in episode 8. But in 9, I feel like it's all over the place. Like there's so much, there's
no time.
3PO in what?
9, there's no time to develop characters.
I think there is though.
Really?
I think they do plenty. Like just like seeing, Rey and 3PO and Poe and Finn all together. Like you see their relationship developing. Like you see that they've developed a relationship. The time jump helps a lot too. Like when Poe, like in the very beginning of the movie, when Poe gets back from like his mission with the Falcon and Rey is back with like BB-8. And they have that argument, like, "What'd you do to my droid? What'd you do to my ship?" Like
that part was good in the beginning.
I like that a lot.
I don't think that they went really into that. Like Poe was barely in the movie. I felt like. I mean, he was there, but like inconsequentially for everything.
I don't know, man. Like I feel like we got to see more about him. We got to see that he used to be a spice smuggler. He used to, run drugs, basically.
Right.
Like having them react to him, like him being that, or like knowing what his past was. Finn having this like. Finn, like you had his arc, and it's quick. It's happening really fast because this whole movie just does not stop at any moment.
Right, it really doesn't.
But Finn, when he's like, "How do you know how to like hotwire this car? When are you gonna tell me about this shady stuff? Like when are you gonna tell me about this?" It's like, "Oh, he used to be a spice smuggler." Like, "Oh, okay, now I know what you were." And I'm gonna have to like come to grips with that. It's happening quick.
I guess it is happening so fast. I couldn't like comprehend all of it happening at the same time.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I think this is something that you'll see rewatching this movie, like how much like JJ tried to put in this film, and whether or not we're gonna feel good about it and feel like, oh, it's a great film. I think there's so much there that just wasn't there that we didn't get to explore in The Last Jedi. So I appreciate that this movie tries to give you that stuff.
Well, because it's so fast, though, it's really hard for you to care so much about the characters. I think that's like, one thing, which I'm going to get into later when we get towards the end of the film, about caring for characters.
Yeah.
But it's just, the relation, like the little things like that, like they're giving you some backstory, which is shit you eat up.
I love it.
Whatever.
Come on,
he's a spice runner. Okay.
I don't know. I think you need that in your character. Like you need to like.
They're not building upon a relationship. They're giving you a history of a character. Okay. They did not build upon any relationships because they had no time.
Okay.
The relationship between Finn and that other girl that was on the horse, I can't even remember her name.
Who the former First Order,
right.
Like the other.
What happened with that relationship? Nothing. What happened with Finn and Rose? Nothing. Like
Finn and Rose was never going to be a thing.
Right.
Clearly, like they separated them. Like that kiss that
what
they had
happened with Finn and
Rey?
Nothing.
It is interesting to see.
There's a lot of nothing happening between the relationships between people, except for Rey and
and
Kylo. C-3PO, they did a great job.
Yeah, exactly. C-3PO is something I want to talk about as well. How like he has a whole arc, I think, in this movie, which was really fun.
Yeah.
To see play out.
3PO was great.
One of my favorite lines, quick aside, was a 3PO line after they erase his memory, and he's like, basically rebooted to like firmware 1.0.
He says the same thing from episode 4. Is that what you're going to talk about?
I mean, that one's great, but my favorite line is like when Rey shows up to like save 3PO, and she like shoots like a bunch of the First Order people with her the crossbow, with Chewie's crossbow, and she grabs 3PO, and 3PO's like, "Oh, my first laser battle!" And I'm like, shut. He's like, oh, poor guy. He's reliving it from the beginning all over again. So that was really great. But I don't know. There was moments there, like where Finn is talking to Rey, saying like, "There's something I want to tell you," and Poe wants to know what Finn wants to tell Rey. Like, it's quick, but I think
you all should know what the hell Finn wants to tell her.
Yeah,
you all should know.
Yeah, exactly. It's pretty obvious,
right?
Sure.
This is one thing I'm talking about where you don't have to answer every question.
Yeah,
you fucking know what it is.
Exactly,
like,
but to present it forward, to like bring it up again, I think is really nice. And it's a big task. It's a big task to say, like, let's put a bunch of character development in the movie, and then let's do all the other shit this movie did, which it did do, where it answers where the First Order came from. It makes the universe feel bigger than it has in this whole trilogy. I feel like this whole trilogy up until this point felt so small and secluded every time we watch anything happen. It's like the First Order versus the Resistance. Is anybody else part of this fight? Is anybody even
a good job with that?
Is anyone even affected by this fight? Because it doesn't feel like it in episode 7 and 8. It just feels like it's two fucking dicks swinging at each other, and like, stop swinging at each other. Why is there even a conflict anymore? After episode 6, and I feel like they do a good job explaining, where that conflict comes from. It comes from Palpatine. He had the First Order develop by like. Another fucking cool thing that my friend pointed out after we watched the movie, like they were conscripting with the First Order Force-sensitive children that whole time. Like when you go to that planet that God, I forget the name
of it. Were they having a party?
Yeah, no, not even that one. The one after that, the darker blue planet where the First Order is all over the place, and Poe meets his old flame.
Okay.
With the mask.
Yeah.
The red lady with the mask. I don't even know these names yet. But like on that planet, they said like, they took all the young ones, and this planet's been in shambles ever since. Like it, and then you see that Finn this whole time has some connection to the Force. So it sounds like to me that they were.
Well, he's like Force sensitive.
He's Force sensitive. He knows about the Force. He has this feeling. He has this sense. So it sounds to me like the First Order was, at its heart, it was always conscripting kids. We knew that from the very first episode, from episode 7, that First Order stormtroopers were taken as children.
Right.
And which is exactly like what the Sith and the Jedi would do. They would take children and like conscript them. So it sounds like, looking at what Finn's capable of, how he has an attunement to the Force, it sounds like they were taking Force sensitive kids to make a new empire, which is great because, like, of course that makes sense to do if you're Emperor Palpatine and you're trying to rebuild and have your revenge. You would slowly build up this empire again, or like this Force again, to
just
eventually
like a sports
take
team
over.
wanting the best players on their team.
Yeah, exactly.
This is what
he's taking, the power from everywhere else and putting it into his factories, to like build up his thing. So like it made the conflict seem like it made sense. I was like, okay, that's why they're still fighting 40 years later, because this guy's still here pulling the strings. So I like that. So like the fact that the movie was doing stuff like this, explaining things about the world and like the world state. I get that the character development could have been better, but I'm okay. I'm happy with what we got. I think they did. I
was okay with it too. I was trying, like, that was me trying to look at it with a critical eye.
Oh, okay,
like,
for sure.
There's not like I had a great time the entire movie.
Yeah, for sure.
But they just didn't build up a lot of characters. So if somebody said that was a problem, I can understand that.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't care. It was a good movie.
But to that person, like, it's a problem, but what could you do? Like, if you're trying to wrap up this trilogy,
right? That's a good point.
And not enough time. Yeah, not enough time. And episode 8 didn't really do anything. Kind of sat on its hands. Like that. That's something I'll say to my dying day. Like I maybe I feel better about episode 8 now that 9's out. But episode 8 sat on its hands. It didn't progress the plot.
Right. It felt like it took place in a 24-hour period.
Yeah, exactly.
It was like I know it probably wasn't a day, but it felt like it took place in like one day.
It took place over like I think 3 days is the canon.
Yeah, it's nothing.
So to see this movie, try and rectify that, I commend it. I commend it for that. But at the end of the day, this trilogy feels like to say it again, like a peeing contest between these two directors, these writer directors.
Yeah, so I did have a couple problems with the movie.
Go ahead.
The comedy was extremely lighter than probably any other Star Wars movie that I can think of.
Lighter.
Okay. There was barely any comedy in it. There was a few moments.
Dude,
do not get me wrong.
Babu Frick.
again, there was a few moments.
for
There was
sure.
that moment at the end with Poe and that girl. I can't remember her name that he met, and then he wasn't saying anything. He was looking at her with his eyes, and she was like, "No."
Yeah,
that part was good.
Yeah.
But there was so few parts like that. But I also feel like that was one thing that got cut due to the time restraint.
Yeah,
Look,
for sure.
We need to build a something. We can't really focus on the comedy.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, but they had their moments. I think Babu Frick is one of the funniest fucking characters in Star Wars ever.
Yeah, it was pretty good.
Drunk baby.
It's pretty
He's
good.
just a drunk baby. Where he's like, I'm C-3PO, human cyborg relations. I'm a Babu Frick. I'm like, all right, Babu Frick. You're fucking drunk, Babu Frick. Calm down.
Yeah, that thing was awesome. And
So I was happy with that.
since we're on the subject of like side characters, that they got me with that droid that was like,
The scared one?
yeah, man.
Dude, that one reminded me of Dakota so
I know.
much.
I have my dog Dakota. He
Yeah.
was like obviously something. I don't know what happened to him, but we
Yeah.
got him from like a shelter or whatever. And he's very scared of things. It takes him a long time to get used to people. So that fucking shit hit me hard as hell when that little droid was all like afraid of people and stuff. I was
100%
like, oh
thought.
my god.
Yeah, Dakota, I've been coming here doing this podcast with you almost weekly for since what? August? April? Yeah.
Well, April's when we started.
We started
meeting
working,
to, figure shit out.
And Dakota just now is okay with me.
Yeah.
So yeah, seeing that droid, I was like, that's fucking Dakota.
Yeah,
it cracked me up.
That hit me so hard when that happened.
He's like, no, thank you. As
Yeah.
someone tried to pet him or touch him and stuff. That was really good. Yeah, a lot of that was something I was so worried about. Watching these trailers is how many side characters or ancillary characters they were adding to this movie. I was like, I don't know. It feels kind of weird, but that's exactly what the movie needed to have this galaxy feel like a galaxy with a lot of other people and a lot of other conflicts happening. So I don't know. Were there any other side characters that really stood out to you?
Now, I mentioned the lady with the horses that Finn meets, but she I don't even remember her name. I'm bad with names to begin with. I don't remember that other chick in the red.
Yeah.
I don't remember her names well. If you didn't mention Babu Frick or whatever, I probably wouldn't
have
remember
known
his name either.
I only remember Babu Frick's name is because
he said
they
it
say
3
it 40 times. Yeah, exactly.
See, I heard it 40 times and I still don't remember.
Yeah, Babu Frick.
But that character had development and stuff like that. So I feel but they also recognized it didn't have enough time to do anything with it. So it was just we're not even gonna bother trying to make you care about these people.
Yeah,
we're just gonna put it in there as a plot point to progress the plot, forward.
Yeah, exactly.
To have a reason for bringing those horses on the ship, so because they couldn't track them.
Yeah, exactly, which was cool. I like that. And I feel like everything had its purpose. There was a lot of side characters, but everybody had their purpose. They
had a purpose for sure.
Which is Poe's old flame, the lady with the mask or whatever.
Gave him the medallion.
Gave him the medallion so they can land wherever. And I like that because it was world building. It's hey, this first order captain's medallion will get you into so many places.
Nerdy shit.
I need. If you're doing a fucking story about a galaxy, you need that texture. You need to have world building. You need to have your thing feel like a real thing, or else it's just fucking masturbation, which is what kind of 7 and 8 feel like looking back at them. So it helped a lot. Gosh, what else? We still need to talk about Palpatine. I still want to talk about the Skywalkers.
I have a whole section where I want to talk about death. So when we get to that point, whenever that feels natural.
Okay, I like
that's
that.
That's really my last big plot point or thing that I want to discuss.
You have death, I have family, is what I want to talk about.
That's
at the end of this. Yeah, 100%. So packed movie. We talked about how packed we talked about how packed it is. That's I think the craziest part about this movie is how dense it is, how many things are happening. Let's see. Explanation of where the First Order came from. We talked about that. I guess I'm down to talk about the Skywalkers and Leia. Oh, you know what we need to talk about before we get into Skywalkers? The way they cut up Leia into this movie was super awkward. Do you notice that?
Because they use scenes from 7 and 8.
They use scenes from 7 and 8 and put her in a scene and just had people. She was talking clearly to someone completely different than she was talking to. So she would say something and they would be like, yeah, I respond to that. What was one of it?
Gotcha.
Where she's like, be optimistic. And the guy's like, you're right, I'll be optimistic. And it's clearly you guys aren't talking to each other. So you know what it felt like? Do you remember the episode where Chef died in South Park?
I've watched that episode, but I remember parts of it.
So the big thing about that episode, this is what happened in...
They like shit all over Chef the entire time.
Exactly. So the guy who played Chef, Isaac Hayes, was, I guess, a Scientologist or something, or like connected to Scientology. And after they did that Scientology episode, he left South Park, and they got really mad at Isaac Hayes. So what they wanted to do was kill off Chef, but they didn't have Isaac Hayes anymore to do the voice over for Chef. So what they did is they very obviously and awkwardly cut past words and things he said,
and scripted it all together,
threw them together haphazardly, all shipshod, and had him discuss to people or talk to people in his like weird inflection where he'd be like, "What's going on, children? I'll see you later." Like it just like all these different like inflections that he would use, and it kind of felt like that with Leia whenever she would talk to someone. And the first couple times it was fine, but like when she finally passed away in that movie, I was like, okay, well, that's good that, you know, she's out of this, because it was
the necessary death that had to occur.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I mean, that's a if you want to start talking about deaths, we can. Like, beautiful thing about these trilogies is like each movie has like its big death. You know, like you have Han Solo dying in the first one, you have Luke dying in the second one, and you have Leia dying here.
Yeah, that's true. I didn't think about that.
And that's swings back to like the sense of completion I have with this trilogy is like, upon seeing when those credits roll, I felt like sad, but also fulfilled. You know, like Yoda says, death is a natural part of life, and like seeing all of our most important and impactful characters pass away throughout this trilogy, it's really saying goodbye to this saga, you know, with a sense of finality. Like, you know, everyone's gone. Everyone I cared about in this trilogy the most has passed on, and now I can move on from this trilogy and move on from Star Wars in a way, and that felt really cool. Did you have stuff you wanted to say specifically about death?
Yeah, I mean, so let's stay with Leia for a second.
Okay.
So Leia's death, you know, she basically, we're spoiling shit here, so
yeah,
she basically gives herself up to save Ben, you know, to get Ben to basically turn to the good side, essentially. And Ben sees Han Solo again. Mm-hmm. They have that whole exchange, which I thought was great. I enjoyed that.
Very cool. Not a Force ghost, just Ben kind of talking
picturing
to
him in his mind.
Talking to himself almost through his dad.
Yeah.
Which was very interesting.
Yeah, it was awesome, because Han Solo really shouldn't be a Force ghost. No, that wouldn't make any sense.
He's not.
But he's not. He's just in Ben's head. And, you know, you know it's in his head, like, as soon as that scene ends, you know.
Well, he says
you're
just a memory.
Right.
And he's like, but I'll always be with you.
Right. So that part was really good. I thought it was a good way to, you know, have Leia go out. I was totally cool with that. And then going back to the first death that really happened in the movie, which ended up getting, you know, retconned or not happening.
A lot of deaths got retconned.
Was Chewbacca.
Which was really good, though.
When that happened, I was stunned. I was like, is that the way they're going to... I was like, that was kind of a shitty way to kill Chewie, but it was very impactful.
Yeah.
I was like, man.
A part of me kind of wishes they stuck to their guns.
This happened. This is my other complaint about the film is the deaths. So that happened, but then Chewie was in a different ship, and that happened with Rey actually having the electricity. Is that what it's called? Electricity coming out of her. You know, using like almost like the dark side.
It's a dark side. It's for sure a dark side tendency.
Which is the first inkling that they show you she's a Palpatine.
Which is, and it's so good too. Like that's something I was so happy about, because like that episode 8 had none of that. Episode 8 did not acknowledge how powerful Rey was, and how that power is sure to corrupt her and challenge her. She never was challenged by how powerful she was.
Right.
And they just kind of threw away the fact that she was powerful, like it wasn't a big deal, which kind of made her a Mary Sue. Whereas I feel like this movie saved her character by, like, you know, presenting her with, like, you know, this dilemma of power, her connection to Palpatine, and her thinking that she killed her friend, one of her closest friends.
Yeah, I mean, that was a really impactful moment. Like, the theater was like fucking silent.
Yeah.
Like when that happened, everybody's like, "Oh shit!"
Intense. Yeah.
Like
I thought it was real. They got me. They tricked me.
And then of course that didn't happen. He was in a different ship.
He
was alive, which is fine. Like I love Chewbacca. I'm glad he's still around.
Yeah.
But you know, it was something they had a chance to like. There's so few times I think you can really get people emotionally attached to something in a film.
Yeah.
And you really have to build up towards that, and that would have been one of those times.
Here's the issue with that. Like, to me, it reeks commercialization. They're willing to kill the characters that we love the most, so long as they know that they can't keep using them. You can't keep using like Luke Skywalker because Mark Hamill's going to die eventually. Same with Leia. Same with Han Solo.
This is a good point, but they can use Chewbacca.
But they can use Chewbacca forever because you can always spit someone in that fucking costume.
They can use the droids forever.
They were two, and 3PO doesn't die either, and even though he's kind of supposed to. So
I didn't even think about that. That's another great point. He should be at least sort of dead.
Yeah, he should be resetted. He should forget every memory he's ever had. So
they retcon that with R2-D2.
It definitely feels like I wouldn't be surprised if JJ wanted to kill Chewbacca and Disney was like, no, you can't kill Chewbacca.
That wouldn't surprise me.
He's an asset. So there's that commercialization that comes through. There's our Chewbacca talking. There's that commercialization that comes through in that, and that's gross, and that sucks, and that's Disney. It feels like all the way through.
Let me extend on to that.
Go ahead.
This is my final point about death.
Yeah.
The movie ends, not to like, again, we're jumping all the fuck around.
Yeah, it's fine.
It's fine. Cohesion, but the movie ends and Rey's dying or dead.
Okay.
I was like, fuck yeah, that took some balls.
To have Kylo Ren be the one who survives and Rey to be the one that dies. Yeah. It's a complete inverse of like Vader and Luke.
Right, and I when that ending happened, I was like, wow.
Yeah.
I can't believe they did this. And like she looked super like she looked like she was straight up dead. I was like, that impacted me so much more. And then when Kylo Ren, or Kylo Ben, as I like to call him,
yeah, sure,
it's Kylo Ben now.
Oh, because he's Kylo Ben now. Because he's back to Ben. Okay, I like Kylo Ben. That's good.
I tried to look at the internet to see if anybody else mentioned that. I didn't see anything. All right, so I'm not trying to. If somebody said this before me, I'm sorry, but
we're coming after you. Expect a lawsuit.
Yeah,
Kylo Ben.
Anyway. That really impacted me, and then when they brought her back, it just ruined that for me. I was like, "Fuck, man!"
So I had a similar feeling. I think where I stand on that and why I'm ultimately okay with it. Every Skywalker had to sacrifice themselves to bring balance to the Force. Vader was supposed to be the chosen one. He was supposed to be the one who would bring balance to the Force. He didn't. He got corrupted. He ended up having to, his life was spent in conflict for nothing. Luke, kind of the same deal. It really had to pass through, and same with Leia. They didn't get to see the fruits of their labor, and neither did Kylo Ren. Like the Skywalker bloodline, that chosen one bloodline, through the end of this movie, by Kylo having to give his life to save Rey, someone who, a Palpatine, by like having him do that, it cements the Skywalker bloodline as a cursed bloodline. Like you don't get to survive. You don't get to be the chosen one and survive, which is something that's like really popular in like monomyth and like these old mythic tales, which is what Star Wars is so rooted in. So for the chosen one, for that chosen bloodline and that lineage to die to bring balance to the Force, there's a poetic beauty in that. And that's what I was mentioning, like you do need to see 1, 2, and 3 to see like Anakin's fall and stuff. Because there's that poetic through line that happens throughout this trilogy. And it does, or this saga, this 9-movie saga. Like everything, each Skywalker has to sacrifice themselves for this conflict. And I think that's really beautiful and poetic in its own way. And it makes me okay with Rey, that death being undone.
I get that.
But I get what you're saying. I also get what you're saying.
Here's my question to you. Would you rather it have been Rey?
In the moment, yeah. But looking back on it and thinking about it and applying this like poetic meter to each trilogy, I think I'm happier with how it ended.
I can respect that.
Yeah.
But here, like, I should have known it wasn't going to happen because when they have the Star Wars land at Disneyland now, they have somebody dressed up as Rey there. I should have already connected the dots. Like, there's no fucking way they're going to kill Rey.
They have someone
because they have her dressed up as Rey there.
They have someone dressed up as Kylo too. So
yeah, but that's fine now. They probably already knew that was coming.
They're okay.
Yeah. They don't have Palpatine walking around on fucking Star Wars.
They should.
That'd
they definitely should. Awesome. I'd be terrified.
They should just pay that actor one
Ian
day.
McDermott, yeah.
Just don't say anything to anyone on a random fucking just Wednesday in the afternoon. He just makeup, shows up there and spends the day there.
That'd be pretty great.
Amazing.
Just walking around like this.
But that was my problem. It felt like a cop out. Like I feel you. I could be completely wrong, but I felt like J.J. Abrams was like, this is what I wanted to do. This is what they made me do.
See, it felt like that commercial move again to you. Yeah, I would have been happy either way, I think.
I'm still happy with it.
I think in the moment, I would have been happier with Rey dying because it would have been like so different. It would have been like that. I love to see like the opposite happen. So like to see the inverse of Vader and Luke, you know, Vader having to survive after Luke dying at the end of episode 6 would have been crazy. So for them to do that with
right. And it would have been consequential to Ben, because this is my other theory about, like, you know, I've gone to maximum security prisons. I've gotten to talk to people who have spent life in prison.
For sure.
Ben living with what he did to his father should have been a consequence. His death is almost like a cop-out. Like, those people that were in those maximum security prisons that were there, they were lifers, by the way. It was in the state of Pennsylvania. I don't know what it is now, but at the time, life meant life.
Yeah.
They had no death penalty, but you get life. You're in there for life. There's no parole, no nothing. Those people hated what they'd done.
Yeah,
they had so much remorse.
For sure.
And they would rather have died. Some of them said that, like, I wish I could just, you know, I'm sad for the things I've done, but, like, they're saying this is ridiculous. True remorse.
Yeah.
In many, not all.
Yeah.
Not all.
Yeah, of course.
But many of those people.
Yeah.
And Ben should have had to live the same fate.
I like that. But also what it does when you do that is it leaves this trilogy open. By saying the Skywalkers still exist, it kind of says, like, oh, what's 10, 11, 12 going to be, you know? Whereas I think, like, killing them off and having Rey just kind of walk off into the sunset, taking that name, it doesn't really, I don't feel that same way. I don't feel like, because I'm not attached to Rey the same way I'm attached to the name Skywalker, even though she takes the name Skywalker.
Yeah,
you know?
she takes the name Skywalker at the end, but doesn't that leave it open to her possibly coming back for more movies and stuff later on?
Maybe, but I'm less interested in that, I guess, because... Yeah, I don't know. I just don't. It doesn't like excite my curiosity in the same way. For me, I get a sense of completion with Kylo dying for the reasons that I mentioned, with like it being like this poetic meter.
I get that
and such. But also on top of that, by keeping her alive and letting her take the name Skywalker and like live her life that way, you get to see her character arc come to like a sense of completion, where that whole time. In episodes, 7 and 8, and 8 goes over this too. She's looking for her parents. She's trying to find who her lineage is and like where her place in all of this is, I think is her quote. And for the movie to end with her saying, I get to choose what my lineage is. I get to choose what my destiny is, who my family is.
She's not defined by her last name.
Exactly. I think that's fucking awesome.
I do. So I agree with that. That was definitely a good thing to have at the end.
So I like, So
when she buries the lightsaber, it's like kind of like putting an end to
exactly.
Theoretically putting an end to it,
Yeah, well, I like that too. And like to go back to Luke's home on Tatooine, like to do it too, like brought up a lot of emotions for me. Like that was really cool.
It fades out with her with the two moons.
Mm-hmm. The binary sunset.
Yeah, that's what it's called.
That was very cool too.
With her and BB-8.
Yeah, it was good. I liked it. Like I could see her just. I don't get a sense that like she's gonna continue the Jedi Order. She's gonna do any of this stuff. I think
that's why she buried the lightsabers. Yeah. Like we're putting an end to this. I think that was
then she
potentially Disney putting an end to it.
And then she had her own lightsaber too, though. Did you see that? The yellow one?
Oh yeah,
remember?
Yeah, I did. See that yellow
double bladed, which is something I wanted. It's so funny because that's like what I was hoping when I watched episode 7. I was like, for the first time, I'm like, okay, got it. Like episode 8's gonna, have her fall or whatever, and episode 9 she's gonna have her like.
So maybe that was like them saying, which I guess they have been saying, this is the end of the Skywalkers. Even though she took the name Skywalker, she can still be in another one because she has the yellow lightsaber. I actually forgot about that. So that's definitely a possibility, even though she's not a real Skywalker. I
hope they don't like explore it. I think like it ended where it needed to end, and I don't need to see Rey ever again. But yeah, like they could continue on if they wanted to. But I did like seeing that she had her own lightsaber finally, because that was something I really wanted to see. And funny thing, in my dreams of like what her lightsaber would be, I imagined double-sided and I imagined yellow. So it was just nice to see that. I was like
weird.
It was weirdly like cathartic for me. I'm like, I finally I didn't get to see her use it, but I got to see it, and that meant something for me. Gosh, what was I gonna say regarding another cool thing we got to see in regards to like the Skywalkers is Leia training to be a Jedi. a flashback sequence between her and Luke, and her having her own lightsaber.
I don't remember this. I went to the bathroom at one point. I don't know if this was during that or not. I don't remember this.
So there's a sequence where they flash back to a forest where two figures are fighting with lightsabers, one blue and one green, one being Luke and one being Leia.
I don't think I saw this.
They both have, really?
Damn.
They both have like masks on, and it's just like it's going over like where Leia's lightsaber came from. And Leia saw at the end
What color saber did she have?
I think it's blue.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's blue. It's used a lot in the end because they're, you know, when they're like passing their lightsabers between each other and stuff, which was leaked, by the way. Whatchamacallit. So like Leia at the end, I just like Leia's lightsaber being introduced. Maybe did you miss that introduction of her lightsaber?
Yeah, I think I did. I went to the bathroom like when I came back from the bathroom, Luke Skywalker was on the screen. That was the first time I seen him in that movie.
Okay.
I was like, oh shit.
Yeah, I think that's him, you know.
They were on the island.
Yeah. He grabbed the lightsaber.
I missed all that.
Oh, okay. So yeah, there's a moment where he grabs the lightsaber and says like, that's no way to treat a weapon of a Jedi, which is the FU to, you know, Ryan Johnson, I think.
Right. I was in the bathroom during that whole part. So I don't know if that would happen around the same time.
I think it might have. Because whatchamacallit.
I missed probably like 5 minutes of the film.
Oh, that's a bummer.
Yeah.
But yeah, you missed some good stuff then. Because yeah, like do you remember at the end of the movie how like Kylo and Rey both have a lightsaber?
Yeah.
So the other lightsaber is Leia's.
Interesting. Okay, so that makes more sense as to where it came from.
Fucking really cool to just see that Leia had trained as a Jedi. And that's why, you know, Rey was training under her as like, and using Leia as a master.
Yeah, they had to make it make sense as to like, you know. Right, that's how the movie started with her.
And
training.
It also explains why the fuck Leia was able to fly through space. I do feel better about that now.
I guess I do.
Because
this is another thing that people were overlooking, not talking about The Last Jedi. They did include some things from there. So all the people that are like, they totally ignored it. They didn't totally ignore it. They mostly ignored it.
I think people are upset because they wanted, you know, they don't like that this like walked back what Last Jedi did, and it makes them feel like Last Jedi is less of a movie or something. And they wanted, you know, there's so much, like, here's the thing. Here's, like, close to my final thought on, like, this trilogy is the discourse around Star Wars sucks.
It does. It's fucking bullshit. Twitter's, like, ruining things. People are getting, like, so upset about it. It's like, calm the fuck down, dude. Like, if you don't like it, that's cool. But, like, you know, we made videos. We talked about how our dislike for The Last Jedi. But I'm not out there posting shit, like, talking shit about it on the internet. Like, if you can watch the video, and that's my thoughts on it.
I do it.
But I'm not.
I contribute to that hellscape. And I'm part of the problem. I'll admit it. But, like, I think that's, like, where I'm at the end of this is, like, I'm tired. Like, I'm just tired of, like, the discourse surrounding Star Wars. Like, it has been exhausting. Like, the fact that, like, this movie has come out, and it's looking at, like, the Rotten Tomatoes of it, and hearing from my like good friend who loves Star Wars, like his, you know, response on this movie, and seeing what I feel about this movie, like having like loved it, to see the critics and the fans be butting heads again, it's like, oh shit, like that we're gonna have to deal with
totally
like
there. It's a lot of it there. Like my good friend John on the internet, I'm sure he maybe who watches, I don't know.
Yeah.
He really likes The Last Jedi.
Okay.
So I'm sure he didn't like anything I had to say about the movie or whatever.
For sure.
But he also really liked this movie.
Okay.
Which I was not expecting, because after I walked out of the movie, I was like, I love this. So
I bet John will hate it. Yeah, for sure.
But John actually liked the movie quite a bit. Like he's already posted things on Twitter.
That's cool.
It.
That's very cool.
So I don't think everybody's going to feel that way, but certainly some people, you know.
Yeah, well, I guess I just mean, like, I feel like some people dug their heels in so hard with The Last Jedi that, like...
anything they did after that wouldn't have lived up to...
It's not going to be... You can't follow The Last Jedi's format for a third movie. Or maybe you can, but they clearly didn't follow that format. Right. That, like, you know, Ryan Johnson's methodology about, like, what he believes Star Wars is. They didn't follow that in Episode 9. So people who dug their heels in so hard for Episode 8 are gonna be upset no matter what, I guess. And I feel like that's why that critic score on Rotten Tomatoes is so low. That's why it's at a 55 or whatever. Because they feel like they have to, you know, stand by like their opinions on The Last Jedi. So I don't know. It just...
You're talking about the discourse and stuff. Yeah. I just want to add on to that. Mm-hmm. The whole theme of this movie was coming together, like as a group, you guys can accomplish anything. Like at the end where Poe was like, you know, Poe was like doubting himself, like, you know, nobody's coming, we're dead, and then
everybody showed
like
up.
The most ships you've probably ever seen in the Star Wars movies, all these people from all these, you know, areas in the galaxy coming together.
And one of my favorite lines is like, "What fleet is this? it's not a fleet. It's just people.
Yeah.
Like I was like, fuck yeah. Like that was cool to see.
Yeah, but that's the whole point of this movie. Is like they were just telling you like you guys can overcome anything if you work together. And I think that was like, almost like a direct shot at the shit that happens on Twitter and like the discourse between people and like the political environment in the world today. Like they're talking about the world today.
Yeah.
They're like, everybody needs to stop this fucking bullshit and fighting about, you can have political differences, but we need to have a discussion. Like there needs to be some civility between people, not like ripping each other's heads off over stuff that truly, might not matter as much as some other things. Like politically, we need to work together to progress forward.
Which is awesome because I think that's something that like is really well characterized by the fact that like they never use the word Sith to describe Kylo Ren or like Snoke or whatever. Like they never called them Sith. And the only time the word Sith came forward is when Palpatine came out.
Right.
And, described himself as a Sith.
And they had to understand the Sith language and stuff like that.
All that stuff. So like Kylo and Rey's conflict stopped being a conflict and it started to be like them working together, which is exactly what you're describing. Us like setting aside our differences to, tackle a bigger issue, whatever the Sith may be.
And what really turns Ben is like when Rey saves him.
Yeah.
Like, because Rey kills fucking Ben at one point. That's true.
And then saves his life.
And then immediately like regrets her decision and
stops
saves
him from dying.
And then, he returns the favor at the end.
Which is another reason why I'm not that upset by it. Like, they showed that she had this power. So for Kylo to use at the end and it's cool because in the episode 7, that whole movie, Rey is learning from Kylo. So for episode 9, Kylo to be learning from Rey, very cool. I like that a lot, actually.
And that shows you how powerful she is. That like Rey was clearly less powerful than Kylo Ren in 7, and by the time 9 rolls around, she's more powerful than Kylo Ren.
By the end of 7, she overpowers him though. So there's that. Too.
Yeah.
But was there anything else I wanted to say regarding that Kylo Ren comment? Because that is very cool. What I wanted to get into, if you're okay with it, is just like the Sith as an entity and Palpatine. I feel like we haven't talked too much about Palpatine specifically.
Yeah, so that's another problem I potentially have with the movie, but not really. Okay. Like, so they don't. Palpatine's back. That's it. That's all you get. Which I'm cool with because, again, I like the mystique.
In the opening crawl, they say it. The dead speak.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm cool with it, but I understand why people would have a problem with it. Yeah, for sure. I totally get that.
For sure.
But again, I had such a hard time looking at it like as a critical eye because I enjoyed it so much that I just don't fucking care. But also, I don't need to know every answer. It just needs to be a good movie, and that's what it was for me.
Yeah, I don't have any issues with him coming back. I think it made sense the second they like showed that in the trailer. After episode 8, in the first episode 9 trailer, they like have him laughing or whatever. I was like, oh yeah, I guess that's what you have to do if you don't have a supreme leader Snoke, and you're just having Kylo be the bad guy. Like that's gonna be boring. So you do need like something bigger than Kylo to be the threat. And if you're phrasing this movie as like the end of the Skywalker saga, you have to use Palpatine again. So I was okay with him coming back.
Yeah, I was cool with it too. And hit that whole planet he lived on was
Exegol.
Awesome.
Exegol was
that planet
sick.
Was great.
Exegol was sick. Yeah,
the whole having fucking weird. And getting the knife and having to like get there and stuff. That was rad.
Yeah,
man.
Yeah. The journey there was really cool and exciting. I like that a lot. Yeah,
it felt like a video game.
It did.
Like you had to get the tool to like get the thing. I think Corey Barlog posted something about that.
Oh, really? That's so funny.
I think he did. He posted something about something being like a video game. I'm pretty sure it was that, but it was like, fuck yeah. Dude.
I know Mandalorian is.
Oh, he posted about that's what he did. He posted about the Mandalorian being like a video game
because you're getting like armor quest. But I liked his motivation because the whole time, like going into this movie, I was like, oh, he's gonna try and like turn Rey to be his servant, or he's gonna like try and possess Rey to be, Palpatine. Palpatine wants to go. I viewed Palpatine as an individual this whole time, this whole saga. And the end of this movie, he says like, "Kill me, and I will go into you." And I was like, "Yeah, okay, that sounds like Palpatine." And so will all the Sith who have done this over and over and over again. Like, it's not just me. It's not just Palpatine. It's not just Sheev. It's all the Sith. This is how Sith have achieved immortality, by passing through each apprentice.
Right.
And I love that. It's not something I was expecting. it kind of surprised me, which I was really excited to see. I didn't think that was going to happen. So that was just a really cool thing.
Well, that's another theme of death.
Yeah.
Like that your ancestors die before you, but they're always there with you. It's a very like religious type of thing.
Yeah, 100%.
Which there's always religious tones in Star Wars.
Yeah,
So I did like that quite a
absolutely.
bit.
Yeah, it's cool.
When people die, they're still with you.
And then for the Sith to take such a literal, perverted version of that as their religion, so fucking weird. And they even call him a cult at some point. When they're talking about like, what does this guy want? Like, what is he like? He's offering us this, but like, what does he want? He sounds like a cult leader. Like, why are we, aligning with him? So I thought that was just like a cool. It was cool because you had the First Order, and then you had like them afraid of like the Final Order and Palpatine and stuff. And I like that a lot. I like that separation between the dark side and the Sith.
Right.
And like the actual threat, the thing that has been imbalancing this universe, this galaxy for so long.
Yeah, they've been quietly like rebuilding an army basically down there. And they have ships, just individual ships that can destroy planets.
Exactly, just a shitload of Death Stars. Yeah,
it's unbelievable.
It's pretty cool. And I like that too. I think that was a good escalation. Like whereas Starkiller Base, I think was fucking a shitty escalation of the Death Star. I think a whole fleet of just Star Destroyer Death Stars. I'm into it.
Yeah, it was rad.
Oh man. So you liked it, and I think I liked it too a lot.
Yeah, there's other things we can get into, like the guy that's the spy. I thought that was interesting.
Oh, General Hux being the spy now?
That was kind of cool, but kind of stupid at the same time. I don't know how I feel about that.
I feel like JJ was really upset with what Ryan did with General Hux.
So they were just like, well, you want to make him a bitch?
You want to make him a joke? You want to make him a joke? Fucking, I'm going to kill him. Fuck you. Yeah, that's what it felt like. He's like, I'll make him the biggest bitch you've ever seen in your life. General Hux, man. What a shitty arc that guy had.
Oh, another thing we would need to mention before I forget.
Yeah.
The kiss between Ben and Rey was awesome. I love that part.
I was so happy to see it
because there's there's plenty of people who like wrote about this theory that like love and hatred. People always look at them on opposite ends of the spectrum, but really, when in reality it's like a circle, and they're both like right next to each other on like this.
And apathy is like in the
right. Yeah. So there's plenty of people that have written about that, and their whole like hatred but caring for each other was there like the entire time,
100%.
Which was awesome. Yeah. Like to me, it made the kiss impactful because of that.
I was happy to see it.
And if it was just like a love story, I wouldn't have cared.
Yeah, exactly. To see them like
if she kissed Finn, it would have been like, yeah, all right,
obvious. Yeah,
right.
Yeah, you're right. That is a very cool thing. And then for her to like have to continue living after like having those feelings and like coming to that realization. Living without him is pretty interesting too.
Yeah, so I really dug that. Like, especially if you ever heard anybody talk about the love and hatred thing, like how they're way closer together than people understand.
Yeah,
I
it's very
love
cool.
that.
It is very cool, and it also means that this trilogy also had to, since Rey's a Skywalker now, it had a brother and sister kiss each other as well.
I had to think about that. I was like, yeah, okay, I guess, sure.
What a cool series we have.
But also it was like, she's supposed to be pure evil and he's supposed to be pure good, but they were both mixed, like,
yeah, exactly.
And these two, like, one's a Skywalker, one's a Palpatine, they're kissing each other,
yeah,
like love
exactly.
is overruling.
Yeah.
All this shit that's
cool.
happening in the universe. That's
cool.
another thing that kiss
Yep,
meant.
that is very cool.
So there was a lot to take away from that kiss.
Yep. It's and it felt earned, I guess.
It did.
Well. Like
even 8, going back to 8, that build up a lot of it came from 8, man.
It was two kids, like, secretly Romeo and Julieting with each other from the beginning, which is cool.
It honestly made me like 8 better. It did.
Yeah.
I'm not saying 8's a great movie. It made 8 a better movie for me.
I think you're right.
Just because this whole time it was really about them. It was about Rey. It was about Kylo.
Yeah.
Kylo Ben.
I think Kylo Ben. Also, just seeing Kylo as a Jedi, because I feel like whenever someone gets redeemed, they have to die immediately. So seeing him come back, fucking so cool. Before he has his lightsaber back or whatever, he's when he's like infiltrating Exegol again.
Yeah,
he's using a fucking blaster.
He's fighting the Knights of Ren.
He's fighting the Knights of Ren, and he's using a blaster like his fucking dad. I was like, that's so cool. Like I'm seeing him like channel Han Solo right now.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Like that was fucking cool. And then like they pass the lightsaber to each other. How'd you feel about that? Them passing things to each other because their bond
was already
so strong.
pre-established.
Water in episode 8.
Water in episode 8. He takes the necklace from her to figure out where she is earlier in the movie.
In that movie. But it was established pre this movie with the water in episode 8.
Yep.
So there you go, episode 8, people. Like,
yeah. Like, this is my point. Like, there was shit connecting to 8.
You're right.
You're right. Like 8 better.
100%. You're actually right. That does actually help 8 for me. But I like that. Like, I like that their bond together, that their connection is so strong.
That goes back to the theme of the fucking movie. Yeah. If you guys do things together, everything's going to work out better. You can accomplish anything.
Yeah. Their force bond was so strong, they were throwing things through the universe at each other.
Yeah.
Like, and that's fucking crazy. They were teleporting things. Yeah, that is a very cool moment. But then just seeing Kylo like be redeemed and seeing him fight with a blue lightsaber again, it just felt really good to see that. He had like just regular garb on, and I got to see them fight together at the end of that movie. Like, that was really nice.
When he's talking to Han Solo and he says the same thing that he said in 7, where like, I don't know if I have the strength. I know what I need to do, but I don't know if I have the strength to do it. It's like, fuck yeah,
and then he throws his lightsaber. Like, he finally got to do it.
Oh my God, that was such a good moment.
Yeah, that was a really good moment. And then he throws his lightsaber away. Man. Yeah, it's a crazy paced movie that has that's trying to do so much, but I think
I'm fine with it, man.
I'm fine with it. I'm happy with it. Yeah.
It was so fun. It was a great ride.
Yeah.
Great ride.
And that's another thing. Like, it never punished me for having a good time, which I appreciated.
I went in there with the lowest expectations. I was like, I'm going to enjoy my popcorn and my soda, and I'm going to walk out of here and talk about it tomorrow.
Yeah.
And then I was like, I couldn't believe, could not believe how much I enjoyed that movie.
You didn't think we were going to talk that much in this podcast. You were like,
we're going to be like 20, 30 minutes.
No, man. I knew there'd be something here. I'm trying to think of anything else that we missed. And I know we did.
There's other stuff.
There's so much within this movie. Which will make watching it fun again. Like, I'm excited to watch it again because I know I missed stuff. I know there's a crazy amount of stuff to see in it.
I'm sure I'll go back with a critical eye after watching it like 2, 3, 4, 5 times and like really like pick things out that like, oh well, this wasn't there. But I'm just enjoying that I had a good time with the Star Wars movie. In 7, I think it was better than 7.
So I think it might be better than 7 too. Yeah, which was my favorite one. I think this might like be at the top. It's so hard to say this early on. But another thing that we got to see, Palpatine being all of the Sith and Rey rising up to be all of the Jedi, and you got to hear cool. all these different Jedi talk. I can't wait to watch a video of saying which voice is which voice, because you hear Obi-Wan in there, you hear Yoda, obviously, you hear Luke, you hear Qui-Gon, I think, for a second. So you hear a lot of voices, and you hear so many other ones. So I'm assuming maybe Ahsoka Tano is in there from the Clone Wars. Maybe there's all these other people. I wouldn't be surprised if Hayden Christensen's voice is in there.
Yeah, probably.
So
that was a great moment too.
Samuel L. Jackson,
is
in there too. Mace Windu, you hear him as well.
Yeah, that was a great moment when he's like, "I am all the Sith," and she's like, "And I am all the Jedi," and she force pulls the second lightsaber up. That was awesome, man. So many good moments in this movie.
Yeah, I'm happy with it, man. I think it's the ending. It felt like for a long time 7, 8, 9 were always inevitable. Like, we were always going to get them at some point, and we were all just waiting for Lucas to do it, and he talked a lot about doing it. And if we were going to have to get it from Disney, I don't know, that's a bummer that we had to get it from Disney or whatever, but I'm happy. I'm happy with where it ends, and I'm happy with where we're at with the ending of this. It feels like an ending. It feels, whereas 6 didn't. Well, I guess what I'm trying to say is 6 felt still open. Go on and teach what you've learned, Luke Skywalker, and I'm gonna train my sister. There was still more there. What happens to the Skywalkers after 6? Whereas I'm not asking what happens to the Skywalkers after 9. They died. Rey takes the mantle, sure, but she's her own thing. She's never going to be truly a Skywalker. She's even though she is, she's
taking the name.
She took the name, and she has a new destiny, and she is a Skywalker. That's because
she didn't have parents, and and they were the ones training her and teaching her. So that was her, that was her taken name.
But she's not a Sky. She's not Luke. Right. She's not truly
she's still
a
Palpatine.
She's still, she's her own thing now. She's a new thing. She's a Palpatine who became a Skywalker. It's a completely new, beautiful thing that's gorgeous in its own way. So it feels like we're done. For me, at least. I don't know how you feel, if you feel like you'd want to continue or you
Like
think
with
that they
Skywalkers
will.
and stuff?
No,
Or
just
Rey?
with Rey, with like these characters, I guess.
I never doubt Disney going back and pulling Rey
For
from
sure.
the duster.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
But I hope that they just, I think most people I think are a bit over with all the stuff that's happening with Star Wars. I'm cool with them doing side stuff for a while, and like I would love them to be like, cool, we're not doing anything with Star Wars for like 5 to 10 years.
Oh, that'd be awesome. They're not gonna
And
happen.
they can do like the Mandalorian, if they want
shows.
to do movies like Solo and like
the
Rogue
Obi-Wan shows can happen.
Obi-Wan, like I'm cool with them doing that stuff. But, like just stay away from the mainline movies for a while. Come up with something super fresh and new, and try not to get involved with the other movies. Like try to you can reference them and talk about things from there. But that's it.
There's a ton of EU material that that was retconned basically when Disney bought Star Wars. All these books and movies and Old Republic and video games and stuff. Fuck around with that. I don't mind.
Yeah, mess with that stuff.
Go into that stuff. But I don't think we need a continuation of. I don't think we need a 10, 11, 12 ever, personally.
I think that they can do it, but what they need to do is they either need to do a time jump. It has to be far in the future where either Rey couldn't possibly be alive anymore.
Oh, yeah. I think if they do anything that takes place after this, it should be 100 to 1,000 years in the future.
Right. There should be a time jump.
But I also think you shouldn't call it Episode 10. I think it should just be
Star Wars in a title.
Star Wars Chapter 1. And it's a completely new thing that you want to start from scratch with.
That'd be cool.
Star Wars: The Old Republic, Episode 1. Whatever you want to do, just don't do an Episode 10. I don't need it.
Yeah,
I personally just don't need
ahead.
Episode 10.
I wouldn't need to see Rey again. I think, in fact, going back to things sometimes really hurts it. I think they should just leave those characters there.
Yeah.
And if they want to make something new,
go
make something new. Now, the characters you can bring back, Chewbacca, the droids. And that's probably about it.
But I don't even want to. We don't want to see a continuation of those characters. I think we would prefer to see their past than anything.
That's true. Just kind of leave it as a legacy thing. I get that.
Yeah.
But I mean, if they did want to bring back that, I don't think I would want to see Rey. I think I would just want to see the droids and Chewbacca and nothing else.
Yeah.
Kind of having them always be there,
I guess.
If they wiped C-3PO's memory again, a second time, he just doesn't remember anything.
C-3PO's just a new person.
But R2-D2 still remembers everything.
He always will.
That was a good moment.
I like his back. Yeah,
his talking about my best friend. It's I think I know who my best friend is.
and it's Babu Frick. Or I think he said it's Babu Frick too.
My oldest friend is Babu Frick.
Babu Frick, my oldest friend. It's dude, we had a lot of great moments in this movie. What a movie for 3PO. Really.
Yeah, because I never really cared that much about 3PO. This was a really good movie for him, for sure.
He did a lot. It was great. Matt, you talked about re-ranking Star Wars. Do you want to do well before we talk about that? Even is there anything else you wanted to say about?
No, I think we pretty much said everything. I think it's a good movie. I feel like everybody should go and watch it. Just make sure you watch the other ones first. Don't try to jump right into this. It's not going to make any goddamn sense.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, I think we can do a re-rank if you feel up to it. I do need to use a restroom before we do that.
We can break for a restroom. Yeah, we can break for a restroom. We may be back with the re-rank. We will see.
Yeah. Well, all right. Think about it.
And guys, we are back. Hello. Matt, hello.
Howdy.
So we discussed it. We were trying to figure out what we wanted to do. We want to do a re-ranking of Star Wars. We just felt like it would take way too long, first off, right?
Yeah, we don't want to get into too much of this should be this should be that. So we just came up with our own favorite lists separately.
Yeah. And I felt I want to front this conversation with I don't feel 100% comfortable ranking them this early.
I mean, I don't either, but this is my favorite list, so I'm not saying this is my critical
these are the best Star Wars in this
I'm not saying
order.
They're the best.
These are just our favorites lists, how we're feeling, loosey-goosey, no stakes, nothing too serious. We're taking it easy.
Made my list in 5 minutes, if you guys...
Same. What we're feeling right now after The Rise of Skywalker, where do our Star Wars rank from all 11 movies? These include the spin-offs as well. Indeed. Solo and Rogue One are included. Matt, so do you want to take it from 11 or do you want to take it from 1?
Let's take it from 11.
Yeah.
And I would, do you want to start? You want me to start? Okay, cool. So I'll get things kicked off with the obvious. Number 11 is Attack of the Clones.
Okay.
That's my opinion.
My number 11, I thought about this, considered all of my options. For me, a favorite Star Wars for me is if it impacts the world and the universe in a way that is interesting to me and compelling and changes the flow of things, I guess. not so much changes the flow, but like it shows me more of the universe in a way that I wasn't expecting to see the universe. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Rogue One is my least favorite Star Wars movie.
What?
Yeah. And I feel kind of terrible about it.
Are you fucking kidding me?
No.
Jesus Christ. I was not expecting that. Did you watch Attack of the Clones?
Yeah, I did. It matters the least to me, Rogue One. Like, if I look back and say,
Lord.
listen, hold on. Listen, what Star Wars movie do I need to watch? What Star Wars movie is important to me? If I'm trying to get what Star Wars is, what do I need to watch? I don't need to watch Rogue One. I never need to watch that movie again. Because it shows characters who don't, like, ultimately matter. It talks about a conflict that I already knew the ending of. Like, it doesn't show me enough to compel me.
I could pretty much say the same about Solo if we're going to go from that aspect.
Yeah, I mean, hey, man.
I'm just saying. I could pretty much say the same thing about Solo if you're looking at it from that angle.
For me, I like what Solo does for me is it shows me a lot of a character that I love, and it just shows me a new take on that character. Not a new take on him, but it shows me more of that character, and it feels very EU, and it shows me more of that galaxy. It shows me the Crimson Dawn. It introduces a lot of new stuff for me that, like,
I get where you're coming from. Don't get me wrong.
That's where my brain is when I'm looking at what my favorite Star Wars movies. How does this expand the galaxy? And for me, Rogue One doesn't expand the galaxy.
I get that train of thought.
Yeah.
I just don't agree with it.
I guess, like, the thing that Rogue One does the best is it shows...
Let me just ask you one quick question.
Of course.
I have to do this. I'm sorry. Did you listen to the dialogue in Attack of the Clones?
You thought this was going to be a short discussion, and look how wrong you are.
I just want to know, did you listen to the dialogue in Attack of the Clones?
I did. I listened to the dialogue in Attack of the Clones. Attack of the Clones, I see for the movie that it wants to be, and that helps me enjoy it a little bit more.
All right. Well, this is not looking at things that are critical eye, clearly. So we're
no,
just
100%. This isn't like the best movie.
Because
Rogue One, I will say Rogue One.
That context.
Rogue One is a very well made movie. I think it's got great action scenes. I think it's well acted. It's got great performances. It just doesn't matter to me as a Star Wars.
Number 10.
Okay, go ahead. I don't judge Star Wars movies as films. I judge them as Star Wars movies. Does that make sense at all?
Like I said, I kind of understand where you're coming from. I'm just surprised.
I was surprised too to see that, but like I was really thinking about it. Looking at the Rise of Skywalker and what it has put in my brain, and like what it classified for me what is important to me in Star Wars, and Rogue One had none of those things, is what I'm realizing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Number 10 for me was The Last Jedi. Still. Same. I think the movie. I think I could appreciate some of the things they did with the movie more.
Yeah.
That 9, I think 9 actually helped that movie out. Mm-hmm. Just the same way I think Rogue One actually helped out 4 a lot, which I know you disagree with that, but I don't know. I still think that's where it is.
We were talking before, and you said the gap is much larger now for you between episodes 2 and
between Attack of the Clones and The Last Jedi. Like I felt like that you could have flipped them at the bottom, either one.
Yeah,
there's a clear it should not be the worst one for sure.
At this
In
point.
fact, it's probably competing with the Phantom Menace at this point.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Which is your next one, I assume.
Is my number 9.
So my number 10 is also Last Jedi. I think it falls in the same place. In terms of like the number ranking. The reason I don't think Attack of the Clones makes it up there yet is I think this trilogy as a whole might be... I'm still deciding whether or not this is the weakest trilogy. I think it is because of how...
You think this is the weakest trilogy?
The sequel trilogy?
Okay.
Only because of how much... I watch. I'm gonna watch every time I watch these movies. All I'm gonna think about is these directors tugging at each other, and that bothers me. Like I wish I could have just got a movie about the movie and not so much about these directors talking with each other and trying to undo what the other person did. I don't know. That's where I'm thinking I'm at.
Okay, fair enough.
But number 9 for you
was Phantom Menace.
Phantom Menace. I get that. Attack of the Clones. That's where Attack of the Clones comes in for me on number 9.
Should have been sooner, but that's fine.
You okay with that? Matt, do you want me to go over my number 8, or do you want to do your...
Go ahead. We'll just mix it up. We'll go fucking all willing. Go ahead.
Okay.
Throw your 8 in there.
Force Awakens.
Really?
Yeah.
I think... I don't remember, but I think The Force Awakens actually might have went up in my mind.
Yeah?
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Force Awakens. What about you? Number 8.
We're at 8?
Yeah.
Revenge of the Sith.
Revenge of the Sith. Okay. So prequels starting to like all come... Prequels are done for you.
I'm done with the prequels. They are...
Matt, I have
3 of my bottom 4.
I've only put 1 prequel up so far.
It's shocking. Shocking.
Number 8, Force Awakens for me, for the same reasons, I described. I think the sequel trilogy is just kind of low. That I have something I want to say at the very end, but yeah, that's kind of where I'm at.
Okay.
Number 7 for you?
You're not gonna like it.
Solo.
It's Solo.
I'm okay with that. I
wanted to put it higher. I like the movie more watching it, but I think actually last time I would have put Revenge of the Sith above Solo.
Yeah.
So I think it might have jumped up a spot.
Jumped up a little bit. That that's cool. I'm happy for you.
It was a good movie. I liked it, but it's just it was a fun ride. It wasn't like super impactful to anything else in Star Wars. Kind of like what you were saying about Rogue One. I don't think to that extent, but I enjoyed the movie.
Yeah.
But I think when we had the whole discussion about it, you talked about they could have made a trilogy out of just this,
and that's what got me so excited. I think that would have made me
like that movie even more.
Yeah.
If they did.
If they had a full a Solo 2 or like a Boba Fett that connected to Solo. Yeah. I am bummed that we didn't get to see more of it, but what Solo put forward got me really excited. And that's why it's higher on my list. What number did we just go over? 7? Rise of Skywalker.
Okay.
Lands right around the middle point for me, a little on the back end of it. Which closes out all my sequel trilogy movies. I'll say it right now. The thing I was going to say later, all these are pretty close to each other for me. Like that's where I've come with the sequel trilogy. It's pretty close to where the prequel trilogy is. I like them probably about the same.
Okay.
So that's why they're kind of mixing across, the streams for each other. Yeah, and you'll see where what my top 3 are, which will probably be pretty obvious at this point. What is your number 6, Matt?
The Force Awakens.
Force Awakens?
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense for you.
Yeah, I think it might have jumped up a spot. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
But it was better than the 4th time.
That's Revenge of the Sith for me.
Revenge of the
comes
really
in number 6.
That's surprising. Okay. Yeah. All right.
I mean,
I think it's probably the best of the of 1, 2, and 3.
I haven't said Phantom Menace yet, though.
Holy shit!
Yeah.
Oh my god. What number was that?
That was number 6.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Okay. Strap in, people. Richard got some hot takes.
I don't like this. I
might have like 1 or 2, but you're just
my list
is throwing shit against the fucking
my
wall.
List is all over the place right now.
I could tell.
This is kind of why I was afraid to rank them
my
because
god.
I'm
What's your favorite ones? It doesn't matter.
Yeah, exactly. Number 5.
For me or for you?
For you.
For me?
Yeah.
Number 5, A New Hope.
Oh, man, that hurts.
It's A New Hope.
That's probably one that hurts me the most because that it being the progenitor of all Star Wars, it being the baseline, the blueprint of Star Wars, for it to be number 5 for you. It hurts me a little bit.
There's just better ones. Look, I understand your thoughts and your feelings. Yeah. When we rewatched it, we were in the same room together, and you were like I think you were hoping to God that I changed my mind, but at that point I've already watched that movie 5 times,
true.
so I was like, I already know what I'm getting into.
You knew what it was. Yeah, it wasn't gonna happen. It is what it is. Number 5 for me, The Phantom Menace.
What?
Gets up to number 5. You knew it was coming at some point.
I don't understand your love of The Phantom Menace. I just don't get it. There's good moments, and that's it.
It presents the Jedi. It shows me Coruscant. It's my first view of Coruscant. It's my first view of the Jedi Temple. It's my first view of what the Jedi used to be when they were at their height, when they were at their prime. And, without that as a base, you don't get, Coder, you don't get all these other cool things that came out afterwards describing the Old Republic and all that stuff. It's a genesis, and that's why A New Hope is so high for me. It's a genesis. It's a birthing of these themes of this universe, of this galaxy in a certain way, and that's why that one's so high, and that's probably why The Force Awakens is so low for me, because it doesn't feel like a birth of something new. It feels like the sequel trilogy for me feels like a coda, an epilogue to Episode 6 at this point, which isn't bad. Because I love episode 6.
I just can't get past the Gungans and Jar Jar and the dialogue.
Yeah.
And I'm not gonna go through the whole.
For sure.
I just can't get over that in any of the prequels.
Yeah.
It's really difficult for me to get over.
I feel you, and it's I mean, that's something I've had to like struggle with for a long time. Is like at the end of the day, I still love the prequel trilogy. You know,
I can understand like we talked about before, it having a structure and a baseline. I can totally understand that, but like in 2 specifically, the dialogue is so bad that it fucking ruins the movie for me. Well, that's why it destroys it.
That's why it's number 9 for me. This is pretty low.
All right, let's go on. That was your number 5.
5. We're at 4 now.
Rogue One.
That's so funny. Solo. That's so funny. That's where that lands, which is I think that's really cool. You know what that is to me? It's a testament to like spin-off films. You don't need to focus on this trilogy anymore, this trilogy format. You can do something different that's not completely focused on like the main crux of Star Wars, the Skywalker saga or whatever. Yeah. If it got that high for both of us, a Disney movie got that high for both of us, number 4.
Yeah, they were really good,
and they were spin-offs for both of us.
It just Rogue One had a whole different feel to it. You know, all the characters die, which I loved. I mean, you could say it made sense, but they could have also done other shit with those characters. They could have made, they could have filled in other stuff. They could have, man.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm not saying they could have like to the extent that it goes into the next movie.
Yeah.
But I guess the next movie, you're kind of right. They did kind of have to die.
They had to die.
But I like that so much.
I know. And I respect
that tragic
it.
story of death, because they're always afraid to have big impactful meanings. Like Carrie Fisher had to die. It had to fucking happen.
I just wish they were able to make that story without the Death Star. Like I wish they didn't have to
But they were fixing that plot hole. It was a plot hole. Come on, man.
There's plot holes all over Star Wars, and it's fine. Like I that one I was able to let go. Like why wouldn't they fire on like the escape pod that jettisoned with the droids in it because it short circuited? What? Why is that really a problem? There's plot holes all over Star Wars, and I'm not that bothered by that one.
I get your point that they're like this could be like a throwaway movie that wasn't contributing to the rest of the movies. I understand that, but I still really liked Rogue One.
I respect that, because as a film, I think Rogue One is a lot of fun. As a Star Wars, I don't really need to watch it again. As a film, it's entertaining.
And the ground war scene's awesome, because you didn't see really a lot of that in pretty much anything. I think you see a bit in like
there's
7
some there's some really cool fights and stuff. The fight scenes and like space battle scenes and stuff, all that stuff is really, really good in that movie.
For sure.
I agree.
Number 3. Moved down on my list, surprisingly. After rewatching these, the films, before my number 1 would have been Return of the Jedi. I still love Return of the Jedi, but we're here at 3 for Return of the Jedi.
Whoa, Return of the Jedi is your number 3 now? Mm-hmm. Whoa, what happened?
Rewatching the films was a big thing. Like I still
going through each one. Like
if I was trying to look at it, I was trying to look at these films more as like a critic. Okay, what's wrong with this? What isn't? And like 3 was like kind of goofy and stuff. And I'll get into some other reasons in a few moments, but just rewatching them and stuff, I still really, really like 3. I'll always have Return of the Jedi. I'll always really, really have a soft spot for Return of the Jedi, and I still love it. I think it's the 3rd best Star Wars movie. Mm-hmm. It's my favorite.
That's
my
very
3rd
cool.
favorite movie.
That's very cool. Man, that's interesting to see. Because I know how much that movie means to you as from
it's
your
really
childhood.
the reason I really like Star Wars, by the way. Because if you didn't know, I really didn't, was like New Hope was like and then I think I didn't watch Empire till later, and then I watched
Return of the Jedi. I was
like, oh my god, this is great.
It feels like the one you watched a bunch of times growing up.
Definitely the one I watched the most.
So yeah, I'm surprised to see it go down as much as it did. So what's your number 2 now?
We gotta get to number 3.
My Return of the Jedi.
Oh,
it lands in the same place.
I'm surprised. Did that go up on your list?
Yeah, Solo was above it before.
Okay.
Yeah, but after seeing Rise of Skywalker, it just made me care more about how Return of the Jedi ended.
Before I forget, I need to mention something. I was fucking right.
About what?
There was a fucking Ewok in that movie. They gave it to me at the end. I was ready
That's
Claudia,
right.
I was like, I told Richard.
That's right. You did tell me that.
I fucking nailed it,
did.
man.
That's so
yes,
funny.
They gave me an Ewok.
And I was happy to see it.
I was so stoked. I was like, yeah, man.
I was happy to see it, but they showed me the Ewok. I'm like, are Gungans going to show up? And they didn't.
Fuck no.
They didn't show me Gungans. I was a little upset about that.
I was so happy I got the Ewok moment for just a moment. That was all I needed.
I forgot that you mentioned that. So funny. That's so fucking funny. Yeah, I was happy to see him.
Fuck yeah.
Number 2.
Number 2 for you or for me? Why don't you take this one and I'll go first on the last one.
I'm second guessing it because like what you said about Return of the Jedi made me feel like I should reestablish like what is the best one for me. This is tough. I wrote Empire Strikes Back, but now I don't know. I mean, are we being critical here or are we saying what our favorites are? That's what
I'm kind of mixing both together.
Yeah.
Because we're going to talk about Empire in a moment, obviously.
Yeah.
But Empire, like going back and rewatching, like, man, this is just a fucking great film, start to finish, and like that's a big thing that changed my mind.
It is probably the best objective film in the franchise.
You can look at it as a critic or as a fan, and just be like, that was a great fucking movie.
All right, Empire Strikes Back is my number 2, with a razor thin margin between that and 1, and 1 is only at number 1 because of what it means to me personally.
I understand that.
And that's the only reason.
I know what your number 1 is.
Yeah, you know what my number 1 is. And that's why Empire Strikes Back is number 2. But I have to say Empire Strikes Back 2 is a perfect film and a perfect Star Wars film. It is the best Star Wars movie.
Yeah, but especially if you're really looking at these movies as a critical eye, it has to be Empire. Even
as just a Star Wars fan, it's the best Star Wars movie. I think the characters are taken care of the most. I think that like
just as a movie, it is a fucking great movie.
All fronts, it is the best of what it is. It's still my number 2. And that's purely because of emotional and personal attachment.
I can totally understand that. Moving Return of the Jedi down to 3 was difficult.
Yeah, I bet. I was surprised. That's why I felt bad for like ending up where I ended up with my number 1. But
there was a reason that got moved down, though. My number 2 was Rise of the Skywalker.
Whoa! Yeah, I didn't realize you haven't said it yet. Number 2 is Rise of Skywalker for you?
I fucking love that movie.
This is very interesting.
It could be because my expectations were so low.
Yeah, for sure. It helps. That always helps.
I don't know the last time I watched a Star Wars movie and enjoyed it the whole, like, just
for sure, from
great.
Top to bottom.
Like, I can't, like, the last time I probably did that was, let's see, none of the prequels.
Yeah.
Revenge of the Sith was like, it gave me some hope. 7 gave me some hope. None of these movies since I was a kid.
It's so interesting to see how, like, how much the non-critical take has like impacted you. I love it. I think it's awesome. It's fucking
awesome.
Great. I'm so happy that you're like this in love with this movie. It's really cool.
Above Return of the Jedi. Just so you all
know.
Whoa,
yeah. Whoa. That's crazy.
Yeah.
You're high. You're high on Rise of Skywalker.
Dude, I really dug that movie.
That's fascinating. It's funny you say that, like, this is the last time, like, this is the first time you have in a really long time just loved a Star Wars movie all the way through. That was Force Awakens for me. And it was Solo for me.
I see what Force Awakens I'm coming around to now.
Yeah.
After watching it 5 times or so.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, so I guess that's why, like, the Rise of Skywalker didn't impact me as much, although I did love it, and I like it more than Force Awakens. But that whole trilogy right now is just in a weird liquid state for me in terms of like where it lands in my rankings. It's moving all over the place right now as we
I understand. I mean, you still just, after you watch the movie a few more times, especially once the movie comes out and you can watch them sequentially. Like
exactly.
When you can watch, I guess you could watch 7 and 8 and then go to the theater and watch.
That's effectively what I did. Yeah, and but still, yeah. Once I need to see that movie at least like 10 more times.
Right, it makes a difference.
Yeah. Because I've seen every one of these movies except maybe Rogue One and Solo at least 10 times. Not Last Jedi.
Just going back and rewatching these, I moved stuff all around. Like,
Yeah, exactly. Crazy number 2 for you. I love it.
I fucking cool. Forgot about it, which is why
I did.
Like, oh, he fucking totally.
Yeah, I just thought you said it. That's so funny. That's your number 2. That's cool. I like that a lot.
Watch it. It was a great movie.
I like that a lot. And I liked it a lot too. As low as it is, as low as the sequel trilogy is on here, I'm coming away loving that trilogy and loving this whole Skywalker saga. I'm really, like, everything's been what the testament. It's not my number 2 like it is for Matt, but the testament to the Rise of Skywalker is it has brought all of these 9 mainline movies so much closer together for me in terms of quality. And that's the testament that I'll give the Rise of Skywalker. That's the praise I will give it, which I think is the best praise it could have ever earned for me, to bring everything closer together in terms of quality for me and to make me care about this whole saga. I don't know. That's
you
awesome.
want me to get you really hyped right now about something you're not even thinking about?
What?
They're making Lego the Skywalker series.
I almost said
and
it.
Now it's like, before I already had the game pre-ordered. I was like, this is going to be cool. But now I'm like, oh, fuck. I cannot wait.
I literally almost brought it up right now.
Dude, they specifically, this must be the reason. There's no date on this game. This game is coming sooner than we think.
Yeah, I think so.
They probably have a whole bunch of shit from this movie in that game.
Yeah, I can't wait.
And that's why they haven't talked about it. There's no release date. 2 months from now, after everybody had the chance to see this movie, then they're going to be like, oh, it's coming out like March. And here's all this shit from the movie. Like, I am so stoked for that game.
We'll have to do a most anticipated games of 2019 when we come back.
I have a Lego game on my most
Lego,
anticipated games now.
Lego Star Wars: The Complete Saga is like probably in my top 5. Like that,
It's called the Skywalker Saga.
The Skywalker Saga. It's probably in my top 5. I cannot wait for that game. And then I heard
for me, like, just been like, I guess I'll get it. To like, I can't fucking wait now.
Also, big reason I'm excited for that game. I heard from the developer, like in an interview, that you can turn off the voices. Which is huge, and they just animate and do
so
their
much better.
Which I loved about the
original
first Lego Star Wars. Like that was so great. Once they started introducing voices, I was like, I don't like it.
It kind of lost its like charm.
Charm, exactly. I liked having see them charade and act out physically iconic scenes was really cool. Number 1, which will probably be like the least exciting for both of us. Yours?
Yes, I agreed to go first. Empire Strikes Back is nigh on my number 1.
Yeah, which makes sense.
It's just such a good film.
I think talking about my number 2 has like said a lot about how we feel about like Empire Strikes Back.
Yeah, I think before like when we were just talking about favorites, I think it was like my 3rd or 4th.
Yeah,
and now it's like my 1st. It was very strange.
It's a really good movie.
Where was it on yours before, like your personal list?
2. It's always been at number 2. It's always been at number 2. I've always recognized that movie as like pretty much flawless.
Maybe it was number 2. It was like 2 or 3 then. I think the original trilogy stayed at the top for like until now.
1 and 2 has always been cemented for me, and my number 1 being A New Hope.
Yeah, that was for me. That was obvious. I knew that was your jam.
It just I relate way too much to Luke Skywalker in that movie, like being stuck in a desert, having grown up in a desert, and like having gone through all these, just trials and senses of depressions and like bouts of depression within the desert itself, and like living in it and like seeing Luke like manifest all that stuff himself. Like it makes that a very personal movie for me. So it's very hard for me to put it anywhere but number 1. Yeah, I love that fucking movie.
I totally understand.
But that was good. I think that was a good way for us to do this Star Wars ranking.
Yeah, so that's our personal favorite movies, not the ones we're calling the best or anything like that, but those are our favorite Star Wars movies as of this time. Because again, who the hell knows what we're going to feel like tomorrow.
Yeah, exactly. Or in a year from now. Yeah.
Especially after rewatching them.
Yeah, I can't wait to get this whole box set.
Yeah.
No, I'm pretty happy with it. So that's it, man. That's Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker spoiler cast and a little bonus ranking bit of all the movies for you. That was fun.
Yeah, this is our last video for 2019, by the way.
Yeah, absolutely. So we will see you.
No more podcasts and more videos until the second week of January.
Yeah, we'll see. Maybe I'll try and like put some like video essays about like a game that I like this year or something.
There you go.
I'll consider it. But this probably will be the last thing you see until 2020. So thanks so much for listening to us this year. It's been really fun.
Yeah, thank you for taking the time to watch our videos or listen to us. I know time is a valuable thing. I totally understand that. So anytime you've taken to watch a video, click a link, click a comment or a like, or post a comment or click a like. That's all appreciated. Absolutely, 100%. Matt, how can we find you? At from NJ2CA. The 2 is a number 2 on Twitter. I am at Richard Eiley on Twitter. I did a fun thing last episode in our podcast. It hasn't gone up yet. Where like when you say it's right here, I have them like flash back and forth. Pretty happy about it. Follow us at Nerdthusiast though. You can find us on Twitter. We do a lot of stuff on there. We keep you updated on what we're doing, when a new podcast is going to come up, when we're taking questions for new podcasts. Definitely keep up with us there, because I'm sure leading into our first recording of 2020, we're going to be talking about, what games we're excited for. We're probably going to predict the Metacritic for the first quarter of. Maybe we'll look back at the games of 2019. Yeah, exactly. We'll see. We haven't even figured it out yet. So keep in contact with us. We might field questions. We want to hear your end of the year, what your thoughts are at the end of the year. We'll discuss those too. So be on the lookout for that.
and much love, and may the Force be with you always.
I'm also with you. I love my Power Glove. It's so bad.
What do you want to be? Pick a lane, bitch!